Welcome back, True Seeker. It is the summer solstice for 2024, the first official day of summer today, June 20th, a Thursday. And sadly, on this day, longtime actor who even has a son in the acting game. Of course, his son had that huge show about terrorism that came out just right after 9/11 called 24. Now, here, Donald Sutherland dead on the first day of summer in the year 24. We'll talk more about that. But yeah, there's something very specific about him passing on the summer solstice in light of the works he's remembered for. And for the sake of time, I didn't even look into MASH. I know that's like the biggest TV show there ever was. It's a little bit before my time. I was just a tiny little person when, MASH was a hit show. But the Hunger Games, the more recent thing that was huge in the movie world, that's what I really want to focus on in this, as well as his 1971 film. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the cover of Vogue Germany. This month, the cover is a 102-year-old Holocaust survivor. And of course, we talked many a times about 102 and the Holocaust and World War, and recently the ritual with 102-year-old, the day of the D-Day remembrance. The one veteran en route there who died was 102. And again, 102, this very special number that has a lot to do with warfare. Again, there's a reason that the federal government simulated that Al-Qaeda would attack the United States June 1st, 2001, 102 days before 9/11, and a whole lot more. And we're going to get into that again as well. Plus, we're going to talk about the significance that Vogue first posted about this online. Vogue put up their post about this cover on June 17th. Of course, here in the U.S., we had Boston, the 617 area code, winning the finals on that day. But we're going to talk about what's significant about June 17th in Auschwitz, where she survived, the legendary Nazi torturous death camp, Auschwitz. She's one of the survivors. Her family did not. This is the story. But I have years of documentation of a certain number with Auschwitz and news stories and stuff like this. And that number is, of course, 113. And again, we're going to get to how it all just fits together and how if you learn this little Kabbalistic code of ABC 123, how a lot of things start to make a lot more sense. And again, if you're new here, the channel is called GematriaEffectNews 25 because gematria is the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words. And the only reason I even got interested in this topic is because I saw there was something very serious about numbers and rituals and secret societies in the Bible where the fourth book is titled Numbers. And eventually I found this word gematria, gematria. Sometimes pronounced gematria. The word is so rare, people pronounce it different ways. But I think the proper pronunciation, as I've been saying for a while, is actually gematria. But anyway, look up the song Gematria, the killing name. That's a song out there. The Police, Murder by Numbers. That song's about how killing is as simple as ABC is 1, 2, 3, and it's the sport of the elected. And we're going to talk about what's interesting about this death today in light of the upcoming election where a different Donald is running. And in years past, there's been headlines of Hollywood celebs speaking out against Donald Trump. Donald Sutherland has been one of those people. But yeah, we're going to really bring this together. And again, why on the summer solstice? And again, in talking about two stories that are both buzzing in the news today, again, show what it really points back to. Who is doing this? Who is making these rituals happen? If these truly are rituals and literally human sacrifice, if that's really what's going on. And again, I'd love to hear the argument for why you think it's not going on in light of what I've been documenting for a decade. But again, let's just go through it. Here's Donald Sutherland on the summer solstice, dead at 88. Again, gematria, 4 basic ciphers, alphabetic order forwards and backwards, and both ways with numerology. Again, there are 4 base ciphers. Funny enough, the phrase summer solstice happens to equal 88 to match Donald Sutherland's age of death. And again, his son made a big name for himself, Kiefer Sutherland, playing Jack Bauer, the federal government agent fighting terrorism, the big hit show that everybody was just watching right after 9/11. I I remember these times so well, and I was sad because my sister didn't question 9/11 at all and loved the show 24 and was telling me back then that I got to just watch that show and quit questioning if there were lies out there, our media would get to the bottom of it. My sister just believes so much in the American dream. And again, in a way, she is the American dream. She married into wealth. She's had a very nice life. But yeah, and at that time, she was already into that lifestyle, and she was just so much different than the person I grew up with, who questioned things and saw that something was wrong with authority. Anyway, Bauer, Jack Bauer, that's the son's character, right? Bauer, 88, and it's interesting about the name Bauer. Um, we won't even get into that. But anyway, Trump, the other Donald. We're going to talk about how seemingly connected this is to Donald Trump and the election. Of course, Donald Trump, another Hollywood actor who, like Donald Sutherland, has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. But Trump is Mr. 88. And since he announced he was running for president in 2015, we've just been documenting the trails of 88 with Trump. One of the big ones in more recent times was the Mar-a-Lago raid on 8/8. So yeah, let's continue to move through it. If you're new here, something we talk about often is the number 206. It's a very special number. If you've read my first book, Letters and Numbers, the opening chapter is about how it matters that God makes man, Adam, in the 26th verse of the Bible, and English translations of the Bible. The English language has 26 letters. This 26 number is very important in counting the stars. Astrological time periods last about 2,600 years, if I'm not mistaken. Um, it's either that or it's the Mayan calendar groups things into 2,600. I got to go back and double check. I need to go back and read my own first chapter because there is something about the movement of the constellations in 2,600 years. But anyhow, the idea that human beings come from stardust. What's interesting is, again, there's 206 bones in an adult human body. 206 bones. The key digits 2 and 6. In Gematria, God equals 26, like Adam. Again, God makes Adam in the image of God in the 26th verse. In the Bible, God speaks the world into existence over numbered days. In science, they explain that creation came into being through a blast, a force of energy that put everything in motion. In both instances, it's like nothing turns into something. But anyway, the point is this 26 number. It has to do with the stars. It has to do with our human anatomy. In the occult, or not even in the occult, but people know the phrase, the body is the temple. Funny enough, in Gematria, Masonic temple equals 206 to go with the 206 bones. And what's interesting is in Gematria, the word bones is 26, and the word skeleton is 101, which is the 26 prime. But anyhow, this 26 number, super special in today's date, June 20th, 206. It kind of has that. His name, the big way, Donald Sutherland, is 260, 26. So he's dead on this day. Again, he's a megastar on the world stage. He's portrayed a president in the Hunger Games. Again, Donald Sutherland was the president in the Hunger Games. And in recent years, we've seen all these stories about global warming, climate change, how it could drastically devastate crops, and with it, livestock and the food supply. Hollywood's been giving us the movies about these kind of scenarios, and movies like The Road and nuclear warfare. They're trying to scare us from all these angles right now about how the climate can take us out, war can take us out, disease can take us out. It's like the plot of Remember the 5th of November. What's that movie called? V for Vendetta. But anyhow, the other thing about 206 that I always bring up is the word sacrifice in Jewish gematria is 206. It equals 206. Today, again, can be written 20/6. I always point out Seattle, the 206 area code. In the year Kurt Cobain died, Bill Gates became a celebrity. He got married to Melinda Gates that year. His mom died. But again, from the day that Kurt Cobain officially died, April 5th, 94, to Bill Gates' birthday, October 28th, is 206 days later. And don't forget, him and Melinda got married on the first day of 94, and Seattle, Washington equals 94, and there's a a long, long list. Again, his father ended up dying at 94 and a million other things. Again, the Seahawks won their only Super Bowl in the 94th season. Coronavirus pandemic equals 94. And remember, the first case outside of China was in Bill Gates' backyard in Seattle. Anyway, a lot of people ended up dying. 206 sacrifice, 6 satanic rituals. Again, there's so many examples over the last decade of presenting, but the point is these same numbers, they come up a lot. And, one other thing I didn't even write here in light of him dying on this day, supposedly from a long illness. All the headlines and stories, if you read them, they all say he died from a long illness. And it's like, well, it's pretty vague, a long illness. You'd think it would be a little bit more specific. But we're going to get to what's so interesting about that phrase, long illness. But the 88, if you're new here, that's an interesting number because another word that equals 88 is poison. And if you do it the small way with numerology, arsenic poisoning. They're both 88. And again, if you're new here, we always talk about how the Jesuits gave us the calendar in the 16th century. At the same time, English was standardized with the 26-letter alphabet, and the oldest English known script goes back to the monk Burfirth of Ramsey Abbey from the year 1011 AD. Again, the origins of English quite secretive and not well known. But anyway, Bauer and Trump, 88, Jack Bauer, the star at 24, that's his son. And that show is going to turn 23 years old the day after the election, which means it'll begin its 24th year of life. So it'll be counting to the 24th year. But look at this, you guys. This is how perfect these things are. And, here, let me see how long I've been jibber jabbering before I even get to this point. So over 10 minutes. Really, if you have an elevator speech and you're trying to share this just with somebody today, it might just be easiest to just start right here. Just leave off the ad merum de gloriam part. But Donald Sutherland is dead on the 172nd day of the year. Okay? It's a leap year. Again, it's undeniably the 172nd day, and undeniably in the simple practice of coding numbers into words, A, B, C is 1, 2, 3 up to Z, the 26 letters, 26. Donald Sutherland, the letters add up to 172. And again, this stuff just goes on like clockwork, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. And again, I mean, it's just... Anyhow, the Jesuit motto at Merum de Gloriam is also 172, not an arbitrary number to these Jesuits. Today's date numerology is 70. The Hunger Games, the name of the film where he's the president, equals 70. Special number, Vatican and Francis are both 70. Again, all roads lead to Rome. But he's President Snow. It stands out to me that the plot of President Snow or the Hunger Games is that there's a new world order. It says, in what was once North America, the capital of Panem maintains its hold on its 12 districts by forcing them each to select a boy and a girl. Remember, if you had 1 through 12 together, it equals 78. Like Trump just turned 78. Like there's 78 cards in the tarot deck, and the top cards are Trump cards, and they had to fudge game 4 the NBA Finals to Trump's 78th birthday. Perfectly synced with Miriam Adelson, the casino owner who super backed Trump in 2015 and 2016, or more like her husband who recently died. But huge 78 rituals with the 78th NBA championship, which began on the Celtics' 78th birthday with the 78th playoff game of the season, exactly 78 days after Barron Trump's birthday, when Barron Trump's got dual citizenship in the U.S. and Slovenia, like where Luka Doncic is from, the star of the Mavericks, who the casino owner took over. But anyway, I'm just trying to draw the parallel about, again, how scripted everything is and how Hollywood and entertainment using all these numbers. The thing about District 12 in the NBA Finals that I'm getting to is, again, 78 is the 12th triangular number. The Celtics won the series, and they outscored the Mavericks by 12 total points over the course of the series. Not an accident. Not an accident at all. Just like it's not an accident that Jason Tatum got his 45th career playoff loss on number 45's birthday. All part of the big script. But yes, 12 and 78. I just want to paint the picture because, Donald Trump, all these tributes to 78. Remember, Kennedy equals 78. Assassinated both JFK and RFK. This year, the finals began on RFK's death anniversary, and RFK was born on the same day as Joe Biden, November 20th. Anyway, it is the star of the show is the district tribute, or what's it say? It says, every citizen must watch as the youth fight to the death. Let me just read the whole thing one more time from the top. And what was once North America, the capital of Panem, maintains its hold on its 12 districts by forcing them each to select a boy and a girl called tributes to compete in a nationally televised event called the Hunger Games. Again, with all the crazy weather stuff, they just been the other year when there was the land derecho that wiped out all the corn. They're saying, "Oh, this could cause a major fork in the road years from now because a lot of this corn stays in the supply for a long." They just been giving us all these stories, and we kind of saw in COVID when they created the scare. Right, first it was the toilet paper scare, and then it was the brief food scare where a lot of things were short in supply, and then it was the baby formula scare. Again, that they're subtly introducing us to how these things can happen in this world we now live in, where these world trade agreements are in place, where we're waiting on things from this corner of the world and this corner of the world. And now we realize, oh man, if this war breaks over here, it can create me. Again, you guys, we're getting played for fools. We're watching kind of what they're doing in the movies. And again, they're syncing it up all along. And right now, the guy who wants to return to office is from Hollywood, Donald Trump. But yeah, look at this. From the anniversary of the Hunger Games releasing. And think about when it released, March 23rd, 2012. So this would have been right around the time that Obama had begun his second term. And then you start to have the Trump feud with Obama and the birther thing. And the next thing you know, it's the Church of Satan's 45th birthday, April 30th, 2011, the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and Obama's got Trump there, and he's joking that he's going to be the 45th president 45 days before Trump's birthday. Anyway, now here we are in 2024 with all the 45 rituals with Trump, dead ex-wives, first guilty president 45 days after the trial began with a million other 45s on it. The 45-year-old Stormy Daniels taking the stand 45 days after her birthday. Anyway, look at this. From the anniversary of the Hunger Games coming out to the death today is 89 days later. Donald Sutherland equals 89. Summer equals 89. Again, just 4 base ciphers. Simple little system. What are the odds that all these things would just line up like this day after day on the first day of summer? And have we been talking about 89 all year in 2024? If you have enough information, you know the answer to that question is yes. We liked Harbaugh to win the championship with Michigan to get his 89th win with Michigan all time, the 24th prime. He did that in the championship game, guys, 89th win with Michigan. We liked Patrick Mahomes representing Missouri, the 24th state, to get his 89th win in the Super Bowl and the 24th all-time win for the Chiefs. Exactly what he did. 89, 24th prime. Again, his son's hit show, 24. And again, think about the idea of the sun, right? The word the sun, the thing in the sky that dictates time, which, as we tell it, is 24 hours. Summer, when you get the most of the sun, the longest amount of sun in the sky. This is the time. Don't forget, in the gospel, it's 89 chapters. The gospel, the story of Jesus, is 89 chapters. Funny enough, the word religion's 89 as well. 89 is also the 11th Fibonacci number, and Jesus equals 11, the master number. But yeah, just a perfect ritual. 89 days after the Hunger Games, Donald Sutherland, who portrayed as a president, gone. And his title in that film, President Snow, I just see the overlaps with World War III, the 170, the 181, and the 71. And one of his biggest films, especially in the earlier part of his career, was Clute, which came out in 71. And it has to do with a call girl in New York City. Doesn't that just kind of remind you of just what Trump just went through? The hush money trial by the numbers over Stormy Daniels, a porn star / somewhere I'm sure in her resume, you could probably fit in call girl. Maybe not exactly, but not far off. The parallels are clear. And you know what else is interesting about his President Snow title? I am really focused on the Trump part of this, but there's a Biden part as well. Remember, Joe Biden equals 64, like Maui, like how he showed up last year on Hawaii's 64th birthday to say sorry about what happened in Maui. Might remember that ended on 8/9, but yeah, if you missed the work last year on Maui, it's too bad that didn't reach more eyes. Information should have been more out there, but with this World War III 71, we've been talking about this since October 7th when Israel popped off on Putin's 71st birthday, 71 days before the Pope's birthday, because words like Catholic and Talmud and Babylon and the Whore of Babylon, they all got the 71. It's a special, special number. 71's the 20th prime number. Here we are on the 20th of June, the summer solstice. But yeah, again, if there was ever going to be some kind of future world like the Hunger Games, and there's this new order in the 12 districts rather than the 50 states, again, there'd be some dramatic event in the world that would bring about this radical new change. And keep in mind the phrase order out of chaos is 78, like Jesuit, because again, 78 is the 12th triangular number. And this shows arrived on the 12 districts, this futuristic world where society survives on the entertainment of watching children hunt themselves in the ultimate Darwinian game. And you see kind of how society kind of is being primed right now to really be vicious and just all this Fallout world stuff that they show. Instead of people cooperating and working together to overcome the circumstances, it's every man for himself. You better have the best weapon on the block and good aim. If you got a bulletproof Hummer, that's going to help too. I had a guy reach out to me more than a year ago who'd won a bunch of money on sports, and he sent me the picture of his Fallout Day vehicle that he's worried about. He spent his money on. Just like he's like, but hey, man, if there is a crazy day, you might be really happy you spent all that money. He's like, if anything gets ready, I'm getting out of here. It's like, well, the one thing is though, even with vehicles, man, tires can be shot out, so have a backup plan. Actually, somebody's out there. Nah, you don't know about that. I'm sure there are some new tires, some tank shit. Probably can't even shoot out your tires. Maybe I need to get up on the times, but no, I see. That's not my mentality. I'm not spending my money on a doomsday bunker or survival plan. Like if that day comes, man, I will. We all attempt to survive, but I'll just think that's why I spent the last X amount of years of my life speaking out, trying to get people to wake up to stop these sick psychopaths that do this. But hold on, I'm getting tangential. Let me get back to what I was trying to say because there's a lot more important information here. I'm going to come back to the Jane Fonda piece, but it is interesting that Jane Fonda, who's in the big movie with him from '71, Clute, Jane Fonda, who stars in, again, if you younger people don't know who Jane Fonda is, just a super long movie career. She's in Network, what I think is like arguably the best movie ever made in terms of just like showing us the world that we really live in and what actually needs to happen. But anyway, she has the same birthday as Kiefer Sutherland. I thought that was interesting. Kiefer is going to turn 58 years old right before Christmas. And remember, it's about stars, like we started with. The word star has gematria 58. The plural stars is 58. Calendars 58. Gregorian's 58. Zodiac's 58. Again, 58, very special number. Secret society equals 58, like Rosicrucian, like Freemasonry. King James, who was a Freemason and Rosicrucian, dropped dead unexpectedly at age 58. He has a Bible named after him. Biblical is 58. Again, astrotheology, stars, the heavens above, the rituals as above, so below, using the numbers assigned to these things with these stars' lives and their deaths, the death of a star, the birth of another star. This older star goes down so that this star can, have their next big hit or this next sustained part of their career. Big fish eats small fish. I mean, we've been looking at this stuff over and over, how it's all so perfectly connected. But Kiefer's hit show 24 about fighting terrorism right after 9/11. Like, as soon as 9/11 happened, as soon as the towers came down, it was probably the day they had the trailer for the upcoming episode on November 6th. Anyway, look at this. In light of the election piece, June 20th, the date of Donald Sutherland's death, who again was the president in the Hunger Games. It's 138 days before the election. Donald Trump 138, Trump 88. And again, the value of knowing this knowledge. Smashing huge futures like why the Nationals are going to beat the Astros in Game 7 of the World Series before they've even clinched in the playoffs because we saw it was all going to be synced with Trump. And Game 7 was 138 days after his birthday. And again, Nationals equals 138, like Dave Martinez. And Trump hired the 58-year-old Steve Ray for Inauguration Day for the 115th Congress. And the Nationals win the 115th World Series. And Masonic equals 115. And DC's the Masonic city, and a big number with Masonry is 33, and Nationals equals 33, and they hadn't been in the championship game since 33. Just like federal order secrecy, Masonry, Nationals, they're all 33. Federal is 33, Big Wave Federal's 138. We just talked about the ritual they did with Alex Jones and Donald Trump in 138, and the ritual they just did with Clarence Thomas, Donald Trump, and Alex Jones through 138. Again, just the same stuff over and over again. Last Friday, we were focused on the latest Alex Jones 138. The week before, it was the Clarence Thomas with the Alex Jones with the Donald Trump part. Just week after week, another ritual. Donald Sutherland. And that the popular punk band We Are 138. Notice the music video, the timestamp's a minute 38 for We Are 138. Real short song with interesting lyrics. They just chant We Are 138. And then when they get done with the chant, in the eyes of Tiger. Remember, Tiger is one of those 201 words. That's how we predicted years in advance why the pandemic would wind down as soon as the year of the tiger came around, with all the 201s and all the celebrities wearing tiger gear when they were coming out saying they had the illness. Like, they're telling you it's that year of the tiger. That's a Chinese thing, and they're calling it the China virus. It's all nothing but high ritual. And don't forget, the Jesuits have been in the Far East for longer than the U.S. has existed. And don't forget, the U.S. was founded 4 years after the Jesuits put out Art of War, and this nation's been at war ever since. And the capital's in the Jesuit stronghold. But the song goes, do you think we're robot clean? Does this face look almost mean? Is it time to be an android, not a man? I find that wild. They Live came out in 1988, and in that movie, which is it's like a hokey movie, but a really important idea as well. And I mean, there's so much more to say about They Live and the Jesuits, and the day Roddy Piper, the star of it, prematurely died, and the day he said the movie was a documentary. But in that film, the aliens, which is what they are in the film, the 201 gang in the film, again, they say they're going to have full control of the world by 2025. So we'll see. That 2025, that SPARS 2025. Okay, coming back to this. Donald Sutherland, they said he died of a long illness. I went to 3 different articles. They all had the same thing written, long illness. I thought, what is a long illness? It doesn't sound very medical. He died of a long illness. So again, in the 4 base ciphers, I just want you to see how long illness and Donald Trump overlap in all 4 ciphers, 138, 48, 159, 60. Again, it's the 60th U.S. presidential election upcoming. Trump's ex-wife died exactly 60 weeks into the first Jesuit nation year. And all the stories are commenting that Donald Sutherland was in Hollywood for just over 60 years. 60 years for Donald Sutherland. And again, do the research. Articles were written long ago about go back and look at the articles put out in the mainstream. I'm talking about 3-letter networks like CBS, ABC, NBC. There were plenty of articles written in the time of Obama becoming president about even how he was related through bloodlines to so many of presidencies and peoples in high places. And those articles also really pointed out how many people in Hollywood that were huge stars also had relations. And again, I mean, I didn't even know Gematria back then, but I just remember reading those articles and being like, man, they're really trying to tell us the world is a stage. And I've been looking at this with eyes wide open since I was in high school and couldn't even vote. 2000, I was 17 years old. Again, the whole thing with the election in Florida, where Bush's brother was the 43rd governor and he became the 43rd president. His daddy was the 43rd vice president. Then in 2004, Tim Russert asking Bush and Kerry about both being in Skull and Bones. I paid attention to things. I saw these things and I was just like, how don't people see this? They don't see it because they're not paying attention. That's the answer. But the 48, again, if you missed all the work with the New York versus Trump and the 48s and the 60s and the Alvin Bragg and indictment and the million rituals. And remember, there is a chance that Trump returns to office and becomes number 48 if Biden doesn't finish his term. But yeah, I mean, Hollywood, for the record, equals 48 in the same cipher as long illness and Donald Trump. And also in that same cipher, Illuminati equals 48. And remember, the Illuminati was founded by a Jesuit, Adam Weishaupt, and it was created in the time of the Jesuit suppression, 64 days before the United States of America was created. Again, like the spaces on a chessboard. But also, adding to this ritual, they said Donald Sutherland died in Miami. In Miami, if you asked me, Zach, what's the most 45 city in America? I'd instantly say back to you, Miami. There's some other cities you could bring up, but Miami, with sports over the years, we've talked about Miami and 45 so much. So then when I'm just reading through the article and I'm seeing this, I'm like, man, Andy died in Miami. Come on. It's as bad as the Trump, the biggest earthquake. Remember how they had that big old earthquake just April 5th, 4-5. biggest earthquake in forever in the Northeast, and it was like White House, New Jersey on Trump's golf course. I didn't want to get back into it, but again, we use that to explain why Scotty Scheffler would win the 88th Masters. Scotty Scheffler equals 88 like Trump, and that course had hosted the first pro tournament exactly 88 weeks before before the earthquake. And the man who won was a Swede, like how in the Masters you had a rookie Swede and he finished in second place. We thought he'd do great too. We thought Scotty Scheffler had the top narrative at the top, and one of the two Japanese stars, Japanese American stars, would finish up there, and Swede. All three of those thoughts that we had for the Masters, for the 88th Masters, where it was all about 88 and the big, again, it was on 4-5, you guys, on 4-5. Augusta equals 45, like Green Jacket, Scotty Scheffler, born in New Jersey, right by that golf course. Scotty Scheffler, 88. How scripted things are. They even got stuff planted in the ground to give you a little shake. They got to make sure they got your attention. But are you seeing the jokes? Are you seeing the repetition? Are you seeing the script? Are you seeing what the military industrial complex is that Eisenhower warned about in 1961? Trump brags that there weren't any wars while he's president. He did all kinds of air bombing, just dropping bombs from the air on people. Like, to me, you had war with people. You flew the U.S. military over and dropped bombs and missiles on people's heads. Well, that's not an act of war. What are we just? What's an act of war then? If that's not an act of war, that's an act of war. Just because they didn't fight back doesn't mean that it wasn't a war. You know why they didn't fight back? They're going to fire the slingshot back and then get air raided again 1,000 more times. They didn't get the luxury of having the world currencies pegged against their little country's currency. That went to the U.S. Again, the country created right after the Jesuits published Art of War in 1772. All right, but hold on. Let me make sure I got through all of this. I think there's even more here. Oh yeah, the lesser date numerology today is 50. One Donald for another. Donald 50 like America. Donald likes to eat at McDonald's. For a while there, the whole election distraction for like the first half of it was Ronald versus Donald. And then we all know what they just did to Morgan Spurlock, too. If you missed that, man, go back and check it out. They did Morgan Spurlock dirty. Supersize me. Just for the record, Donald Sutherland has that July 17th birthday. You might recall the ritual of knighting Captain Tom on that day by the Queen, and then him dying 201 days later, right as Burma's government falls into Jesuit ritual, realizing that Burma's government was set up on the Jesuit anniversary. But Captain Tom, known for the Burma campaign. Yeah, just July 17th, the day Catherine the Great, her husband died, the leader of Russia who saved the priests, the Jesuits. She saved the Jesuits with 201 Jesuit priests after her husband died on July 17th. Anyway, Donald Sutherland has that birthday, and his death is 339 days later, like United States of America. The 177 sequence is interesting because the Jesuit order equals 177, just like New World Order equals 177. And I might have to look more into his. He's been in Hollywood so long. For the earliest part of my life, I was always the guy who didn't know who the movie star was or hadn't seen that movie, and everyone was in disbelief. I'll tell you what, though, in the last 10 years, the Netflix era, I have ended up watching a lot more movies, like I'm sure a lot of people have. And even so, I couldn't tell you a lot that I've seen with Donald Sutherland. I've always known his name and his son's name, but I'm sure I've seen him in at least 10 movies in my lifetime. But I know he has, in his catalog, it says has nearly 200 movies. We'll have to look up exactly what he does have. It says here, though, Sutherland appeared in 3 films with son Kiefer, beginning with the 24 stars small part in the comedy drama Max Dugan Returns in 1983. That's the year Prince put out the song I Would Die For You with the number 4 and the letter U, and used the 21st letter, and he died on 4/21, the Queen's birthday. 201 days before Donald Trump won, when Prince had the song Black Donald Trump. Max Dugan Returns. I didn't even decode that, so hold up. Let's just take a look at Max Dugan returns. Wow, it ran an hour and 38 minutes. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? I mean, isn't it weird? It's just too weird. It's like, what? It's all too weird, isn't it? Here, YouTube just has to give you the clip that's 2 minutes and 1 second long, just right up there in your face. It's like, okay, can I get out of the Twilight Zone, please? No, you start to realize it's not by accident, though. It's like, again, Google recognizes their birthday as September 27th, the day in history the Jesuits were recognized by Rome because it's the day leaving 95 days left in the year, and their original mission is to counter the 95 Theses, which reminds me that he is in the big show Citizen X that came out in 95, and X is the 24th letter. And I'm sure you remember all the rituals that Elon Musk did with X and 24 en route to renaming it, the online service Twitter as X. But okay, that's too weird. The hour and 38 and the 201 tripping. It came out on March 25th, the 84th day of the year. 84 old day. If you're new here, 84. United States of America, the Catholic Church, the Jesuit Order, Jesuit alone. All 84. That Jesuit Anthony Fauci, the head of NIH since 1984, the Orwellian year. The first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, got the 84 birth numerology. Ignatius Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, died 84 days from his birthday and was replaced by Diego Lainez, who was Jewish, interestingly enough, and converted to Catholicism. And in light of Gematria being a very Jewish practice, it is noteworthy that Jewish equals 88. Bauer is traditionally a Jewish name. Jack Bauer, the superhero to fight Islamic terrorism in the new hit series after 9/11, when Iyad Baraka Israel, the Jesuit-created nation in tribute to the Catholic Old Testament, came on and told us that we needed to wage a crusades against the Middle East. And then George W. Bush, the Skull and Bones member, modeled after the Templars, he referred to it as a crusade. Yeah, I know there's a lot more to this. So I mean, I got a good amount of information here, but I guarantee if you like to do your own research and build on and want to go investigate the mash angle, you're gonna find even more, even more. These rituals are always deep. Uh, yeah. Speaking of George Orwell in 1984, that 1971 movie he's in that's referenced in a lot of the headlines, that did come out on George Orwell's birthday, June 25th, day the Korean War began in history. And right now you got Putin in Korea. All this stuff is such a joke, man. It's just such a joke, you guys. Oh, it's such a joke, man. But the thing is, their jokes can get dangerous. Their jokes can have real world consequences. You saw that in the time of 2020. They told you something was going on. They made it real scary. Scared a lot of people out of their jobs, their careers, their lives. Suddenly they might be like my sister who didn't listen to the good family members who'd done the right research, and now it seems like their immune systems are compromised. Cruel ideas in films like The Hunger Games. Donald Trump, who's been talking a big game about what he's going to do if he comes back. So many people believing in him. The same guy who went along with the banker agenda out of Switzerland and locked us down over the 99.9% survivable that was wiping out the elderly in the nursing homes. Sounds American, doesn't it? Well, God, if they're dying in the nursing homes in their 80s, man, you just never know what might happen to our youth. Yeah, I think that happens every year with the flu. Hey, have you looked into coronavirus? Look at this. I just read this right here in the encyclopedia. It was coined as seasonal flu in 1968. That's weird. Hey, did you notice here in 2020, nobody bought any flu stuff and they bought all the new coronavirus stuff? Wow, I wonder if these new companies that got all this marketed through the government when it's total fascism made a whole bunch of money. Oh, wow, look at this new company, Monsanto, producing their first vaccine in record time, founded by 2 Jesuits. One of them's even born on the 201st day of the year. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Yeah, anyway, I'm sure there's a lot more here. So I'm going to save the MASH angle for one of my, more veteran, been on the earth longer than I have, helpers in the research take on the MASH angle. And I bet Amy at Crack Their Code, I bet she'll do a killer decode on this and pick up on a whole bunch of new things. Yeah, the 24 thing and the summer solstice, and really, if you just got 1 second to try and get somebody, just say, what do you think the odds of him dying on the 172nd day of the year and his name equal in 172? And again, if they give you that, oh, that's just the way the world is, and yeah. It's weird how everyone like has that in their programming. Like some people are just that way, like that's just how coincidences happen. Like, man, it's all right. Everything was a coincidence on 9/11 too. Now I remember. Now I remember what country I live in. And speaking of 9/11, right here, unless unless somehow you don't live in the United States of amnesia, you might have forgotten what we covered on June 6th about the dead 102-year-old veteran who was going to the D-Day remembrance. And we talked about how in recent months there's been these several 102 things, and not just in the last several months. It's been going on, but there's been a lot of examples recently with these rumors of world war. Get in the Bible, it's all rumors of war. But anyway, a 102-year-old Holocaust survivor is Vogue Germany's cover star. And again, in Gematria, Holocaust survivor is 102, right? And again, the Jesuit text translated by the Jesuit priest, supposedly written by Sun Tzu of China. Yeah, think about how they're using China right now as the big red scare. You know what I mean? Sun Tzu of China. Sun Tzu, for the record, equals. Hold on. Here, let's just put it before your own eyes. Remember, the Jesuit suppression lasted 41 years. It ended in a big old Jesuit ritual synced up with James Madison, the sitting president at the time. But, Derek, you got to do some of all the calculators on, or the ads on your calculator. They're just too slow. Not so slow. Sun Tzu, 41, right? Again, Sun Tzu. And right after this thing's put out by the Jesuits, next thing you know, the U.S. is being formed. The Jesuit suppression's ending after it's formed after 41 years of suppression. USA 41. Like just building to this moment in the 21st century. You know, they've been building it. They've had this script written for a long time. And you go to all these Jesuit universities, they have big quotes on the building, inscriptions about how the Jesuits are really pushing, you know, the idea of a global governance. It's just like all in plain sight. But anyway, Art of War 102, like World War. Don't forget the American Civil War. Lincoln blamed the American Civil War on the Jesuits. And what day did the American Civil War supposedly begin? April 12th, 1861, the 102nd day of the year. Again, what day did the federal government do a simulation called Operation Amalgam Virgo with a cover document of Osama bin Laden's face, a simulation of Al Qaeda attacking the U.S.? They did it June 1st, 2001, 102 days before 9/11. What's Al Qaeda equal in Gematria, by the way? 102. So here, just to go through this 2 weeks ago, we're United States of amnesia proof over here. 2 weeks ago, a man traveling to the D-Day remembrance died at 102. Robert Persishity. They had to get out. It almost, I really do even wonder too. Just they got you saying shitty out loud. It's like it is shitty what they do to us. If they killed this guy, that's shitty. Persishity. 102-year-old. Okay, so we were pointing out how that D-Day remembrance was on the 207th day of the leader of the Jesuits' age, which is very interesting because who's the author of Art of War? None other than the Jesuit priest Jean-Joseph Marie Amiot, which is 207. Again, he put out his masterpiece in 1772. Here we are 4 years later, the number of death in 1776, when it's clearly these occultists did this. They set it up all around us. Jesuit Order 72, the first Jesuit Pope on the 72nd day of the year. These rituals with Biden and Trump in 72 ongoing. Well, we were just saying about Hunter S. Thompson. His parallel to 1972, the year Biden became senator-elect, and what they just did with his son Hunter Biden with drugs. When Hunter S. Thompson was the mega drug addict who hung out with everyone famous. He's like the Forrest Gump of the drug world. But anyway, here's another recent one. Pearl Harbor survivor dead at 102. And the Pearl Harbor attack happened in the time of the Japanese Emperor Hirohito. And look how Hirohito's 102 and 114, just like World War's 114 and 102, and Art of War's 102 and 114. And for the record, Pearl Harbor's 114, history's 114. .207 was the number all over the ritual with the 10-4 alert and the war starting on October 7th as well. In state of Israel, again, Israel, created May 14th, 14/5, like how they read it over there, like 145, like the 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament, and in Gematria, Catholic equals 145. This was another one recently. Civil rights lawyer and World War II veteran Johnny A. Jones Sr. dead at 102. This is a couple of years ago, though, this one. 102. Let me rewind here back to the post I need to be on. Okay, so with regards to, just the idea of a Holocaust survivor, I realize there's something up here that I forgot to put up here. I'm going to write it up right here. Look up the birth name of Adolf Hitler. If you look up his birth certificate, you'll see that his name is spelled out Adolphus Hitler, which has the 201, okay? Adolphus Hitler, 201. There's a lot more to say about the gematria of his name as well, but the 201 for now. Because remember, the phrase Holocaust survivors 201, the Jesuit orders 201, State of Israel, that's its official title, that nation that came out of the Holocaust, is 201. And remember, David Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister of Israel, he died 201 days from the anniversary of its establishment on May 14th. On December 1st, Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, 201. The first Jesuit pope is Jorge Mario Bergoglio, 201. The first to live in Suite, 201. And again, the list goes way on from there. That's just a really short list. But again, I just feel like if I was a brand new person and somebody showed that to me, I'd have to look more into that before I just could instantly say, oh, that's got to be just coincidence because coincidences happen. That's just way too common of an attitude. Things that are just way too common in America from a judgmental asshole such as myself. Just way too many fat slobs, way too many people doing nothing with their life, wasting way too much time on entertainment, not questioning anything, not looking at anything and acting like they're holier than thou because they agreed with what the TV told them. All of this shit needs to go. And that's why sometimes I feel bad because I look out at society and I'm like, maybe those Georgia Guidestones, what they had up there that came down 201 days after the Pope's birthday, maybe they're actually right. Yeah, don't forget that. The Georgia Guidestones came down 201 days after the Pope's birthday on a Skull and Bones member's birthday who got elected right after the Skulls came out about Skull and Bones, which came out 201 days after Paul Walker's birthday. The same Paul Walker who died in the weird way in the red Porsche, like the red Porsche he gets in the movie about Skull and Bones. And then he died 5 years to the day of the other Skull and Bones member, George Herbert Walker Bush. He was number 41. But yeah, just, again, you guys, by learning who gave you the calendar and the language and who's been syncing up these rituals since the 16th century, you can see that the creation of Israel is a progression of that. And again, remember, Netanyahu stepped down on June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year. He came back on 12/29 when 1229 is the 201st prime. 12/29, the 201st prime. He came back on Albert Pike's birthday, the same Albert Pike who wrote Morals and Dogma, which reveals that Masonry is based in Kabbalah. That's a reminder that Jewish mysticism equals 201. That should be up there. Again, Kabbalah is based in Jewish mysticism like Masonry. Remember, the Masonic temple behind the Oklahoma City building bombing sold for $201,000, and it blew up on Ignatius of Loyola Day, April 19th. And Timothy McVeigh's 201, and Terry Lynn Nichols, and Mercury Marquis, which was their type of car, and on and on and on. But and they executed him 3 months to the day of 9/11, when two towers became zero before they became one, and they sentenced him to death years before that on June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year. But again, Netanyahu's 201 ritual with his departure and his returning on Albert Pike's birthday. Again, we put out a video that day to look for a major war in Israel around the time of Yale's 322nd birthday. That war began 2 days before Yale's 322nd birthday. And 322 is super important in Kabbalah and Jewish mysticism, and Genesis 322 and knowing good and evil, and Order 322, Skull and Bones at Yale. But the phrase military-industrial complex, again, equals 322. This mega war seed that's growing right now began right as Yale was turning 322 years old. This powerful university, older than this nation, that's so gothic if you go there. And again, I got the weirdest organic side story from what happened the night we were driving from there. It was this crazy storm and just all this weird stuff. And I've been lucky my whole life driving cars, but that night just the tire blew out. It was just, I was like, this place might have some real demons that we just messed with because this night is messed up. But anyway, We survived it. That's the good news. We went in there with the right intent. Anyway, actually, I got to tell you what, being at Yale that day was awesome. We like every interaction we had with the student was super positive, and it was awesome to be around highly intelligent people. I still remember this young Jewish kid who was just loving it. He's like, "Man, this doesn't surprise me at all." He's like, "Wow, they even got it in English." So again, it was a great day at Yale, but just a really weird night after. Um, and now I'm thinking about what ended up happening when I got back home. Oh my God, life is weird. Anyway, story for another time. But yeah, Vogue Germany, you guys, just to close it out again, this ritual with the 102-year-old Holocaust survivor in Vogue Germany, again, Adolf Hitler. It goes back to Martin Luther, the German, who began the Protestant Reformation by penning the 95 Theses 201 months before the Jesuit order was created. These endless jokes, man, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. She's born in Berlin. She survived at Auschwitz, but her family did not. Her brother was arrested by the Gestapo in 43. She's born in 21, Jesuit 21. The 21st century begins with a bang with the big 201 ritual in New York City in the nation's capital. And since then, it's been endless, nonstop fear porn, from bed bugs to terrorists to killer germs to the border. It's a senile man being your neck. I mean, just all the ways that we just let them play with us. And we know who they is. Other channels always talking about they and never say who they is. If you come over here and you leave in the comments, who's they? It's like, did you pay attention to any of the last hour of the video? I know I said it over and over. Oh, it didn't register because I never heard of the Jesuits. Sadly, that's kind of how it works in a lot of people's brains. That they're just waiting for me to say it's a Jewish conspiracy. If I didn't say that, I didn't blame anybody. But yeah, check this out. Today's date numerology, 70. Remember, we were talking about this with Donald Sutherland. Donald Sutherland of the Hunger Games, dead synced up with his son's 24 show, but also with the Hunger Games where he was president. So you got that today. You also have this making the rounds in the news. It's funny, a lot of the stories are syndicating this today on the 70 date numerology, but Vogue first posted it online 3 days ago, which we're going to get to. But again, Vogue has that big 70 connection, also the 20 for the 20th of the month. Vogue Germany has the same gematria as Jesuit order, 54,153, again, a biblical number, the miraculous catch of 153 fish. Vogue Germany is also 63, like Rabbinic Judaism, going with the Mishnah and the way it's composed. And hold on. Somebody's at the door again. 1 second. All right. Sorry about that. Coming back. They put out the pictures of her on their website on June 17th, okay? 617. And 617 is the 113th prime number, okay? They said she survived Auschwitz, which has the gematria of 113, like Nazi Party, like swastika. And again, 113 is this very interesting number in the Talmud. Remember, Talmud has the 71 connection, like Catholic, like Babylon, like Horror Babylon. And this war in Israel began on Putin's 71st birthday, 71 days before the Pope's birthday. But in the Talmud, in Bava Kama 113a, it says it's okay for somebody who's Jewish to lie to somebody who's not Jewish as long as it's within a legal setting. And again, the rationale for that is about saving their own lives, supposedly. And again, I have to take Bill's word for it because I don't read Hebrew. And I've had people contest what I was sharing about this. And several people from the Jewish community have made the point over the years that it's about being in a legal setting to save yourself from being persecuted as a Jew and murdered for being Jewish. So I can understand that because that people do kill over religion. But the thing is, in all of these important events all throughout history, 113 has been central. And we were talking about this with the November 3rd election in 2020. We were talking about how Green New Deal equals 113 and why that was another sign that Joe Biden would win that election, becoming number 46, exactly 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, when the only other Catholic president, JFK, died at age 46. And again, in Gematria, Catholic equals 46 the small way, like the 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament, which is the Jewish section. And there's 145 more chapters. Catholic, the big way, 145, like Israel created on 14/5. But again, this whole thing about this 102-year-old lady on Vogue Germany, they first post in the world on the 617 date, the 113th prime number. We were talking about this in a huge way in the NBA. The NBA, we call it the 113 League. I wrote a book about this years ago, and we know who runs the NBA, and they are very pro-Israel in the NBA, and they are very political in the NBA, and they were very much synced up with the pandemic, which was declared the same day the NBA lockdown. And I did mention earlier that coronavirus pandemic equals 94, like Seattle, Washington. You run it the other way, coronavirus pandemic is 113, like the National Basketball Association, like March 11th, 11/3, like 113, like the Celtics in Boston, the 617 area code, winning their second consecutive finals on 617. In Jason Tatum's 113th game, when again 617 is the 113th prime number. You think it's an accident that they got this story up? Here, let's go back to older posts. This post is from 2017, August 11th, my old website, freetofindtruth.blogspot.com. There's a lot. Again, I don't want you to think that these are like the only two examples. There's a lot of examples, but I'm just making the point that I've been talking about this over and over since, and it's even further back than this, August 11th, 2017. But that's just where this post jumped back to. World's oldest man, Holocaust survivor, dies in Israel, aged 113. And I'm going to give you a lot better example that's a lot more historical. That's a name that almost everybody knows when it comes to the Holocaust. And yeah, there's even more to say about this. But here, instead of that, I'm going to jump to this one. Anne Frank, you guys. Anne Frank's stepsister meets the teens who partied with a swastika. March 8th news, 38, right? Germany equals 38. Run it the other way. Germany, the big way, is 83, like how the date can also be written 83. Adolf's got the 38. Jews got the 38, like death, like murder, like killing, like RIP, like that's the story. The crazy German Adolf Hitler murdered the Jews because he just hated Jews, and he was just nothing but a Jew hater. And that's as deep as the story goes. And he's the worst man ever. And then maybe Osama bin Laden's again. You guys, we've been just lied to about everything. Look at what her name is. Anna. Look at the way her full name is spelled. Anne Frank. Anne Lies. Lies. Bava Kama 113a says it's okay to lie to somebody who's not Jewish. Keep in mind, Jesuits, Jews, the Protestant Reformation. Martin Luther targeted Catholicism and Judaism. This is what brought about this Jesuit Catholic Jewish alliance. And again, the Catholic Church adopting this very much Jewish knowledge, this system being put into place in the 16th century. Again, it might all sound wild, but you just look at it, it all lines up perfectly. Anyway, Anne Lies Marie Frank 113, right? 113. Following their arrest, the Franks were transported to concentration camps in October or November of 1944. It's one of the 2 months. Anne and her sister Margot were transferred from Auschwitz to Bergen-Belsen concentration camp, where they died, probably of typhus a few months later. Interesting. The woman in that time was 89 years old. Like I said, religion's 89. 89 is the 24th prime. Here we are. R.I.P. Donald Sutherland. Sutherland. Reminds you kind of like the Confederacy, the other big 201, with all this Hollywood predictive programming as they try to build about the tensions of a new civil war. Anne Frank's got that 84 in it too. And her diary was first published on June 25th, George Orwell's birthday, 1947. Anne Frank, because her common name that she's known by is Anne Frank, 84. Again, Jesuit equals 84, Masonry 84, Zionism 84, United States of America 84, the Jesuit Order 84, the Catholic Church 84. On George Orwell's birthday, the Anne Frank diary is published. Oh man, he was, and don't forget, he was a member of the Fabian Society, established in 1884. So that's where he gets the title of his book. It's the 100th year of societies such as the Fabian Society, which are trying to plan worlds and populations and get things to flow a certain way for their own benefit, for their own world dominance. Again, that's what the common man doesn't think about is the people in the world who we do hear about that even the ones they tell us about in the media that have so much wealth, they control massive percentages of companies that are the biggest companies on earth. It's like, so that guy, man, he's raking in just tons of money every day, being a majority owner in a company that has, hundreds of millions of customers per day. Again, imagine that. Imagine you had a business where you're just bringing it in every day, hundreds of millions of customers. Imagine how much wealth you could have and how much influence you could have over others after amassing these piles. And then again, just think about beyond that, the concept of government where you control money flow and supply and who prints it and who has it and what information people have. And then start to think about when you have that kind of capability and this title of authority that so many people buy into, just think about how easy it is to just manipulate hordes of people and do it in the way they do. I mean, getting off on another tangent, but it's funny how they've done this all so kabbalistically and perfectly and paying tribute to the big names and the big history and the people who gave us the warnings. Here, this post is from when? Just making the same point there at the end. This post is from March 8th, 2019, the day the news story broke. It's like we've been here covering the news every day, breaking it down every day, pointing out the same things every day. But yeah, Zionism, Masonry, Jesuit. I could have went on with the list, but those were the big ones. Okay. Yeah, and just using story to control people with their emotions. I mean, what's the story provoked you? A nice old 102-year-old lady who survived something horrible where she saw her whole family died? And again, just the way that they're constantly steering you to think and have sympathy for certain groups of people, but not others. At the same time, again, we've seen what's been going on since October. They were making you feel like you're a bad person if you cared about people being killed in Gaza. You got people coming on TV saying that, like, that's not a reason to stop the war. This terrorist threat needs to be done away with. Did you see what they did on October 7th? It's like, actually, I didn't see it since you just asked me that. Actually, can you show me some more footage of what supposedly happened? I know it happened almost exactly when I predicted it would when Netanyahu came back into power. Almost called it dead on, December 29, 2022. And again, anyone can still watch that video. It's still up on GematriaEffectNews 22. Just go back to look for the December 29th Netanyahu return video from the day of. But all kinds of things interesting about Netanyahu's numbers. He's got 177 and 69 like the Jesuit order. Again, Donald Sutherland born on 17/7. But yeah, that attack on October 7th was 282 days after he returned. There, he came back on 12/29/2022. Check this out. 12/29. Again, he's like the fundamentalist. He's the big war hawk. October 7th, 2023. The war pops off on the anniversary of us invading Afghanistan. But 282 days after he returned to office, the war begins. And it began on a Saturday, and Saturn is 93, and Saturn's connected to death and judgment. Saturn's actually 69 and 93. Actually, you know what? Check this out. Remember, the first Jesuit pope, his birthday is Saturnalia. And Saturn, again, is the keeper of time connected to death and judgment. And it's obvious this cult thinks that they have the authority to execute death and judgment on people. Again, they invented the idea of the state and capital punishment, which is another big fat 201. But what is it? Is it Saturn worship? There's 3 phrases that have to do with Saturn that are all very interesting. Saturn worship is 201 and 78, like Jesuit 78. It's also 150, like Illuminati, and Order of Illuminati is 201. Saturnian Order, I think, is the one I'm looking for. Yeah, Saturnian Order is a lot like the Jesuit Order. You see that? 177, 69, 201, 93, 84. Saturnian Order is 201. Sacrifice to Saturn is 201. And Saturn worship is 201. And there's a lot of death rituals connected to the Pope 201 days from his birthday, including Beau Biden dying 201 days before the Pope's birthday at 46, only for Joe Biden to be elected number 46, 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, and then inaugurated on the 201st day of the nation's age, 20/1. And again, the Jesuit priest who did it, Leo Jeremiah O'Donovan, did the funeral for Beau Biden as well, and his name's also 201. But yeah, when the Netanyahu ritual happened, or the killing on October 7th, it was a Saturday. And again, Saturnian Order 93, like Benjamin Netanyahu, and again, like Saturn itself, also 93. So, not an accident. A huge number with Aleister Crowley. You know what? The focus on the news today is how the U.S. Here's another 93, you guys. There's a lot of 93s in Israel's history. Don't forget that Israel was drawn up on September 3rd. But if you're watching the news today, CNN's been on it all day. Here, let me see if it's still a top story. That we need to send more money to Israel so they can fix up Iron Dome. We got the Judge Cannon jokes back. Again, the Judge Cannon all synced up with Cannonball Day for the Jet. It's all these things that they just been doing, man. It's not a top story anymore. They delegated it down here under the Hezbollah one. But U.S. concerned Israel's Iron Dome won't work versus Hezbollah. It needs a tune-up. It needs more of an investment. It needs more taxpayer dollars. Let's not forget all the money we just sent to Israel on the 201st day of the war. After on Hitler's birthday, they pledged to send $95 billion to Ukraine and Israel, when the Ashkenazi Jews in Israel, they originate from where the war is going on between Russia and Ukraine. On Hitler's birthday, they did that. On his 135th birthday anniversary, when Bavaria is 135, and that's where the Illuminati was founded in Germany. Going with our joke today out of Vogue, Germany. When you looked at that Max Dugan returns, it was the 84th day of the year too. It's funny. That just so much, you guys. Knesset, that's the Congress in that's the Congress in Israel, Knesset, 93. Their Congress is called Knesset. Israel has one of the best military intelligence programs in the world. It's known as the Talpiot program, 93. Again, Israel was drawn up and approved by the United Nations on September 3rd, 93 of 1947, and then it was made a state May 14th, 48. But again, a lot of people say that the God of the Old Testament, if you really study it and break it down in astrotheology terms, it's obviously Saturn. And it's interesting because God does make man on the 6th day, and Saturn's the 6th planet. And you see how Saturn's 21? Look at Bible. Bible's 21, right? Look at Jesuit. Jesuit is 21. Look at the word human. Human is 21. And again, in Genesis 6:6, 21 is the 6th triangular number, which means if you had 1 through 6, it equals 21. But on the Genesis 6:6, God regrets making man. And of course, in Revelation, you have the mark of the beast, but also the number of a man, which is 666. Anyway, yeah, here I want to do one other thing. I want to send to well, first of all, shout out to the truth seekers. Shout out to Daria, Gematria nerd. Thank you. She said Donald Sutherland played Mr. X in the film JFK. He's the other guy who talks about the military industrial complex. Are you kidding me? Daria Okay. Is it back? Now can you hear me? When I switched the audio, it muted the mic. Here, I think she's trying to tell me the mic. She saw that it would get back on. Yeah, I don't. I hate when time goes on and applications get upgraded and changed and they just get worse. It's like, what are the point of these? Like this platform used to just be perfect. StreamYard just used to be absolutely perfect. Actually, there may be one or two things I would have done different, which they still haven't done. But these tweaks they've made and the audio stuff and the different audio settings, it's obvious that I don't understand why when I switch the thing, I lose all mic. Normally it doesn't do that, but today it's doing that. So anyway, we're back on. I needed to switch the mic setting over because I want to play. In a sense, I want to look at this from, okay, it's good a conversation is happening about Gematria, but there's in this conversation, you're going to notice that there's somebody who's making a lot of big statements to dismiss the work with all this confidence, like they're actually saying something that's true and authentic and well-reasoned and thought out and researched. They're making it seem like it's that way. And I'm going to show you just how big of a joke it is and how it's just like nothing but ignorance, neither just complete ignorance or total opposite lies, like in a satanic manner, just like speaking in opposites. But I want you to see how the person responds to them, and it doesn't even really, it doesn't attack them in any way or even try to debunk the things they just lied about. Instead, what they just do is they make a really good point about, well, okay, even if all that was the case, what do you say to this? And then they didn't really have anything to come back with on that. But yeah, again, I just want to remind you guys that there is a pack of trolls and a network of trolls who really do actively work at harassing and trying to contain and deter people. It's just gross. Like over the years, I've had so many people make a screen name that's me and then attack good people in the community because people look at the screen name and they think it is me because it's got the same avatar and they wrote Zachary K. Hubbard's their handle. And I'm getting emails that night from old ladies about why I'm being so mean to them online and cussing them out. And I'm thinking, how's this even? I'm like, oh, I see somebody. Anyway, there's just so many weirdos and creeps and evil and terrible people that have been around here doing these kind of things for, again, I've been dealing with this every day since 2015. One of these people who had been trolling me since that same time, he tried to become my friend right before the whole Oklahoma City thing. He liked when I was promoting April 19th, and all of a sudden he made a video. He said, whoa, I used to be against that, but he's got the right idea. We all got to come together and speak out about these things, and his information's super dope, and I'm going to be out there if he goes. And he did show up there, and he just kind of stood around the whole time and didn't contribute anything. And one guy a filmmaker who came out there that I was also a little bit suspicious of, pulled me aside and told me that he knew he was a Fed. But I asked that guy to elaborate how he knew that, and he wouldn't tell me. He said, you just have to trust me. Be careful around that person. They're a Fed. And I was like, But anyway, that person now, just how they began as a troll in 2015. Remember, all of a sudden they started a mega troll campaign against me 2 days before the war in Israel broke out, when we had nearly predicted it to a T. The day Netanyahu came back. Right before that happened, all of a sudden, him and the troll gang just like got into hyperdrive, trying to make up all these videos. If you're not paying attention to all this stuff, good for you. And I'm not trying to bring more attention to it, but literally the guy's putting out videos saying that he'd figured out that I ran $1 billion empire fleecing people all over the world. It was just like, this is so crazy, man. I mean, has he watched my live streams? We're lucky if we make $10 in super chats. But just making up all this stupid shit. Anyway, I want you to see how a snake in the grass like this can just lie, but how the truth just cuts through lies. And I also want people to watch this for how to handle the situation when somebody comes at you with a load of bullshit. And then I'm going to go well beyond what he said and really put it to rest. Because, yeah, these snakes, they really do need a nail in their coffin. Okay. Check this out. Check this out. There are some real nice things to appreciate about the response that's going to happen. So we're going to start with the snake whose face is hidden on the screen. He's probably casting spells in the shade. But we're going to hear his voice first. And then we're going to hear our friend RPM Trey come back with the rebuttal. So, okay. With that said, we're going to listen for maybe 4 or 5 minutes here. I'm going to try not to interrupt and just watch it play out, and then I'll get my commentary. And I might have to take some notes, though. That's what I'll do. I'll take a little notes in the background for the points I need to respond to so I don't forget. So here we go. Check this out.
Or that name, it's really not the whole name. If you put the whole name in, it's going to be different. Then you have fucking God knows how many different ciphers. It's like, okay, I mean, I get it, but it's like, okay, you got to go into all these different things. I look for the facts.
But how do you know that the people who are manipulating these situations to be like that are using these ciphers to say this gives us a greater advantage so that we can manipulate this shit how we want, so we can everything we do is by the numbers.
But check it out, right? We know use this example. We know Trump is one of them. Okay, Trump is one of them.
Yeah.
We know like a certain person will be one of these people.
Yeah.
So that would mean that every single thing they do in our face and the stuff we even can't see, that would mean it's being done so we can see it. Everything that these people, this is one of their sorcery and magic understandings is, and this goes with magic too. People don't know that all magic that's done, I'm talking about like you see a magician, it's not hidden at all. It's all seen in the open. You know, if you ever see any magic, any true magician will tell you, you can see it. You just can't see it. And that's how they do all their magic. They give it to you. Yeah. Like they don't even hide the shit. That's why those of us that are awake, we could even see it, and we could see it without numbers. There's been people that found Gematria that already saw shit, and then Gematria just, linked to, okay, more connections. Okay, yeah, I see it more. And then there's people who don't even know Gematria. I've known some sharp ass motherfuckers, right? They see that shit like, man, shit, I don't fuck it. But they can see and understand the same type of shit. We can see through it. So what I'm saying is, you take a person like Trump, okay, he's one of them. So that would mean everything he does, even this court thing, all this shit, it's all being done purposefully. So how can you show something that is being shown anyways? You see what I'm saying?
Because seeing a dead body at a crime scene is cool, that's good. You might even catch the killer, but the juice, but you get the juice though when you see the motive. They always want to know the motive. It's going to be a court case, an examination of all the evidence, and I just feel like Gematria is like, this is the motive. They're ritualistic and fucking crazy on some ancient shit that y'all not privy to. That's why it's going past y'all, and they still doing this shit because they never let it go because it ruled the world, and it always is. Where did they lose the power? They didn't lose the power. They still have it, like they always had it. Here's the proof. Right. That's what I thought I was seeing.
Right. They do have that. So, I mean, like I said, you're seeing two sides of a coin. You're seeing the truth, and you're seeing things linked together, and there's numbers there. Yes, we know there's numbers there. There's a number thing. There's a number understanding, but it's attached to many more different things. Like I told you, it's attached to the sun, moon, and stars.
Yeah.
100%. That right there is more powerful than any number. Numbers come from the stars any goddamn way.
I was about to say it's all related. So when you say the moon, stars, and the sun and shit, I go, yeah, I know, because that heliocentric model on that Gregorian calendar is based off that shit big time.
Right.
So it will be reflected in the numbers for sure. I feel like they do this. I don't feel like it's a...
But you got to remember these are some things that are missing from that teaching over there. Okay, so that right there in itself is incomplete. So is that 100% what's going on, and that's the automatic truth and this and that, when you're missing what's above? And then you're also missing, there's also a moon calendar that these same people in charge go by. They go by the lunar calendar as well as the solar calendar. You cannot have one without the other, and they use both. So where's that at? So you have all these days, right? You have all these birth dates, right? But you also have a moon calendar that these people go by. And there's a Hebrew calendar. These people that run this bitch, these things link to these people. So if there's a Hebrew calendar, there's a lunar calendar, which is more powerful than the actual solar calendar, but they're not going to tell you that, okay? So when you have these systems missing, for me, that's incomplete. It just is what it is. People can believe whatever they want to believe. Like I said, it's incomplete. I've done deep. I go in when I research. Okay, and I'm gonna be sharing some videos of some stuff. I'm gonna be sharing some videos of some stuff, but that's what I look at. For me, that's why I like. It is what it is, and I always knew that. That's why you never see me really do anything with the shit. Like I never, because I just like. And I understand that doing that has repercussions. This is what it is, man. You know, these are dangers with you know, even motherfuckers doing simple things like yoga and this and that, and you know, certain meditations and stuff
You don't
like
rock
that.
with the yoga and shit?
Well, you gotta, I mean, stretching, yeah, people stretch. Yoga, I've never fucking been able to even do yoga. And one thing is, I mean, Manly P. Hall told us what yoga was and let you know that yoga opens the body for spiritual embodiment and entity attachment. So, I mean, that's a fact. That's real shit. And that is in the CIA's Gateway program. And they use yoga and Eastern teachings of ancient India and Chinese philosophies and understanding and brought that shit over here. And Manly P. Hall has lectures on the dangers of all this shit because it's in a system and not over there in the 40s, 30s, and 20s when it was still doing shit in nature. They were still doing stuff in nature. So when you bring that to a system, aka a matrix, you think that shit is gonna have the same benefit on your spirit body than it did over there? Absolutely not. And it causes mental disorders. I mean, it causes identity dysfunction. It causes stress. It causes suicide. And what's the main things that you see on TV?
Suicide.
Suicide, mental disorders, mental health. All this shit was being told back in the fucking 40s and 50s, man. Yeah. So now you bring fast forward to right now, and you know what they did, and you could see in it, you can put it all together. You like, God damn, this shit is deep as fuck, you know? Yeah. And all this shit is out there, man. Like I said, whatever new wave happened, it's a lot of people that is actually starting to see the same shit, you know, and wonder like, damn, what the fuck I've been doing? Damn. You know, I mean to tell me all this shit that I've been doing is kind of like I was manipulated to do it, you know? And that was to keep people in a certain state so they can make their moves and be out of the fucking way and think they're, you know, in their spiritual awakening or in this shit or a flat earth or that shit over there or this shit over there. Man, they put all this shit out here like that, man. Yeah. It's real deep shit, man. You know, I tell anybody listening, yo, start looking into this shit, man. You know, and as far as the whole Gematria shit, Zach shit, look, man, motherfuckers still gonna rock out with it. Whatever. I'm still cool with mad people in that community, you know? And people got mad respect for me. I don't know why Zach just can't say, all right, I don't fuck with him. I got respect for him. Yeah.
Okay, I that was too long. Just to answer that last part, again, let's go back to October of last year when you were cheering on a mentally ill person who was like putting out my sweet lady's information and harassing her at work. You were cheering that on. And then you made like 20 videos over the course of the next month, all based in bullshit that I was making $3 billion a year scamming people on Gematria. It's like, are you even trying to be serious? God. And in what way, like, where's the work a scam? The work's nothing but legitimate. What just happened with the 78th NBA Finals? Oh, another correct futures call. Is that where the scam is? Showing how the sports are rigged year after year? But listen, maybe I shouldn't have let that play for so long without responding. There was a hilarious part back there where he said that what I teach is incomplete because I never talk about the stars and sun or the moon or the Hebrew calendar. So it's incomplete what I teach, and that's why he left it behind, because he's a deep researcher. That's what he said, right? So it's like, oh, he's a deep researcher, and supposedly, you know, he's been trying to rock with the community since we went out to Oklahoma City, where somebody told me he was a Fed who was in the filmmaking business, and I was like, how does he know? He was so certain that he was. But again, he's never taken the time to read the first 3 sentences of my first book, Letters and Numbers, a chapter I put out for free in the middle of 2017, where in the opening sentences, I explain, here, just to read right from chapter 1, opening page, chapter 1. Why are there 26 letters in the English alphabet? That is the question. There is no more perfect or logical place to begin our learning of the relationship between letters and numbers than by answering the most fundamental question to the study: why are there 26 letters in the English alphabet? As we will uncover, the answer is as deep as time, dating back to the beginning of recorded history, and as insightful as one could hope. In answering the question, we will connect the spiritual, God, human anatomy, and the stars above, plus more. As we connect the dots, much light will be shed on the age-old belief the body is the temple and we humans are the children of the stars. Please know that as your teacher of this sacred knowledge, I do not aim to push any bias or dogma. I only intend to share what is based in verifiable evidence and what inspires. In doing so, the scientific and the religious will come together as the ancients once considered them, part of the whole or the oneness of this reality we share. For your personal reference, the 26 letters of the English of the modern English alphabet are as follows, and I just list out the letters. And again, I forget how long the first chapter is. It's probably around 30 pages. But I go, again, I just really, just like in the opening sentence, I just show how 26 fits in with stars and where this idea of letters and words comes together with, again, in the Bible, God making man in the 26th verse, and in Gematria, God equals 26 like Adam. And again, for the gas station troll who, brought into the community, again, every day you're harping on saying things that just show you've never read the first chapter of my book, because right in the beginning I lay out how the word God equals 26 in Hebrew, and throughout the book I show other key words in Hebrew that have the exact same numerical value as they do in English. The four-letter name of God, the Tetragrammaton from the Old Testament, equals 26 in Hebrew, just like in English, God is G-O-D. The 7th letter, the 15th letter, the 4th letter. Put it together, 26. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, Adam has the 26th connection. God makes Adam in the 26th verse. Bones equals 26. 206 bones in the adult human body. The word sacrifice in Jewish gematria is 206. A lot of sacrifice rituals with 206. You know, we're showing them all the time. And now another one just on today, the day of the summer solstice with Donald Sutherland. But yeah, again, to have been hanging around the community now since, again, he got involved and wanted to come out to Oklahoma City probably about 4 or 5 months before it happened. So probably the end of 2021. So he's been hanging around all this time. And he doesn't know that we often talk about the stars. I mean, we made a huge point about that when Kobe died in his ritual. But then he says we don't talk about the moon. Haven't we been teaching about the 19-year cycle of the moon and how important that is, and why major rituals in the world happen every 19 years? And why 2020 was going to be a crazy year, something we were pointing out in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and then it ended up being COVID-19, 19 years after 9/11 and the 19 hijackers. And then he said we'd never touch on the Hebrew calendar. Well, that's also false. And just with regards to 9/11, we always point out that on the Hebrew calendar, it was Tisha B'Av to remember the destruction of the two temples 44 days before 9/11 happened that year, and 44 is the number of destruction. And again, the World Trade Center was once opened on April 4th in 7344. It's a big military number. It's a big killing number. It's a big Israel number. Now it's years later. We have this huge war in Israel on the anniversary of us invading the Afghanistan after 9/11. But yeah, for the trolls out there, like seriously, if you guys would just take, instead of like, literally for the gas station troll who spends about 10 hours a day trolling, who's encouraged by the Matrix, and again, the gas station troll started attacking RPM Trey, and then the Matrix reached out to RPM Trey and said, hey, let me help you. I can get Cuts to stop. And it's weird. It's almost like they have a romantic relationship, and Cuts. It's like Cuts' sugar daddies, the Matrix, who flew him out to New York, because when Big Daddy gets on there and tells him to shut up, he does. And he doesn't really do that for anybody else. And again, this guy's a super weirdo. Literally projecting all day, making death threats against people all day, and then saying people are death threatening him. I haven't heard anyone threaten him with anything. I've heard him threaten everybody and their mom. He was recently talking about killing RPM Trey Vietnam's children. I asked back before he even flipped to get Cuts to chill out, because he's been trolling for over a year now, and he said that there was nothing he could do about it. So again, this is how they're trying to create a schism. They know that I support RPM Trey, so that they're playing this good cop, bad cop, and trying to get Trey to be like, Trey, aren't you catching on, man? It's an incomplete system, yo. Just listen over here, because I got the good information. Like, remember, that was the other thing. I called the Matrix out, because what did he do? I didn't say anything about what he was doing in the time of Hawaii with the Maui fires, but then what he did on October 4th, I don't want to be associated with people like this. On October 4th, he told everybody to get a Faraday cage and put their phone in it and put it in the microwave and get really far away, because he thought a lot of people were going to be, expiring. He thought there was going to be some deadly phone thing like the Stephen King novel or whatever it is. He was super scared of the phone on 10/4, which was the internet conspiracy theory to go around to, create that stereotype of why we don't listen to conspiracy theories. Aren't you glad you weren't worried on 10/4 that you were going to die? Aren't you glad you didn't spend $100 on a Faraday cage for your phone? But what he was doing during what he was doing during the Maui fires is, if you turned into any of his work, he was he was like trying to undermine things I was saying. It was obvious. And then he was saying what it really was graphene oxide. They spread graphene oxide all over Maui and set it on fire. Well, if you look up graphene oxide, it's non-flammable. So again, this is the kind of person that promotes this kind of stuff, just pure stupidity. And then he acts like but you see, these are real agents and trolls, and that's why they're driving and coming out to Oklahoma City, and that's why they're coming out to New York. And the whole time he was at New York, all he was doing was letting me know about people trolling me online and the bad videos being made about me. He was the first one to make a big deal about Brian's video trying to attack me for what happened in Oklahoma City. No, these people are exactly what again, this isn't some Michael Moore thing, but go watch I'm pretty sure it was Fahrenheit 9/11 that Michael Moore did not long after 9/11. I'm pretty sure it's in that film where he reveals how much of the government budget in this new Patriot Act is being spent on programs to infiltrate groups in America of people who have a message that is in contrary with the feds. Again, and use people that maybe are out of the prison system, give them better pay than they get to do other things to really instigate, and just somehow they find these useful idiots, guys like this. And I'm not talking about Trey, I'm talking about the one whose camera's off. Shout out to Trey, who does a good thing. But yeah, I've been telling Trey, this network is no good. You've already gotten a taste of it, and listen to how they just bullshit to you. I mean, what I told Trey is you don't want to make friends with shitty people and snakes. And no doubt this guy's a piece of shit. I'm sorry to be trying to say all these things about how unimportant my work is. You literally have contributed nothing to the world that means anything. You take other people's stuff and out of context. Listening to you is just psychobabble, a moron who puts everything together wrong. It's like Eddie Bravo the other day, his rantings that didn't make any sense. Albert Pike wrote the Masonic Bible that projects the 3 world wars. It's like, nope, that's not correct. He wrote Morals and Dogma, which some people consider the Masonic Bible, and he wrote a letter to Mazzini, again on August 15th, 1871, the Jesuit order's birthday in that year 71. Mazzini, the second leader of the Illuminati, about the 3 world wars. And his birthday is the same day Netanyahu came back. And Netanyahu came back on Texas' birthday, the Lone Star State. And, these big world agendas and open borders and all these things being connected. Nothing connects it better than understanding the Gematria, because it shows where it flows back to. And this moron here is trying to tell you it's Jews that run the world. Okay, in the history of the world, what powerful all-Jewish military was there before Israel? I mean, there's probably something, but nothing like Israel. Israel came about in a major Catholic Jesuit ritual, and it's used to divide the world in the way that it does, because it's such a divisive issue, because it has to do with religion and life and death and whose lives are more important, and the media is always trying to coach you into thinking that those Jewish lives are definitely more important, which is totally wrong and evil. Again, you can't say these lives are more important because of this religion, because of this history, especially when it's a history that leaves out genocides of other people. What about the genocide of the Native Americans? If we focused on that so much, I bet we would live different as Americans. We might be more humble and learn about the ancestors who lived in harmony with the land for a long time and didn't destroy the place that we genocided. Where's that story? The gluttonous people now obese and on every kind of medicine to stay alive, who replaced the people who used to live in harmony with the land and had the greatest democracy there ever was. That's also actually according to even in his storybooks, it says that the natives that were here, the tribes, the agreements they had. Well, some history books, more like a Howard Zinn type of history, but a lot of research into the way the natives used to get along and work together. And again, we genocided all that, brought in a new system to the new world as the new world order expands. But yeah, in this new world order, there's big government, and there's a lot of money, and there's a lot of deadbeat losers in the world that can be used and controlled with dollars and blackmail. And again, when I look at this guy who's a total con, I think I know I'm not far off the mark. He'll never talk anywhere about where his money comes from, and he seems to have a good deal of it. And that's the way he hangs around too, dropping $100 super chat every now and then. It's like that's the only thing you ever did for the work. Never shared a word, you came out and stood by us, but never said anything. At the end of New York, you said, man, next time you come out here, I'm going to say something next time. Save us, man. We wouldn't even want to hear it. Psychobabble on the mic, nothing but nothing. You'd have everybody walking away and thinking we're all Looney Tunes. Yeah, and he knows what it looks like when I speak on the streets of New York. We get people to stop and listen block to block when we got the right speaker system. We had a whole bunch of people stop on all corners looking at us because they never heard any shit like this before, and it was all making way too much sense. And we went to New York and told them about Agenda 21 or Event 201 and got them to listen to all that. Consider this mega liberal powerhouse. We got people to stop and listen to the other side of the story. And again, for that trip and the Oklahoma City trip, my financial support has gone down like a cliff, which is also crazy. We went out and demonstrated that we could do something on a high level and speak facts and get people to stop and listen in major places. And somehow, some way in this big age, big tech where everything's so digital, just whoop, you don't have financial support anymore hardly. You won't do that again. And don't forget, right when I crossed all the way, I drove from Seattle to New York. We hit every city along the way, speaking out. But as soon as I got to New York, as soon as I got there and posted on social media that I made it to New York, I made it to Buffalo first before we drove down to the city. And I didn't realize how far apart Buffalo and New York City were. My God, that state's way bigger than I thought. But as soon as I got there and posted on social media, I made it like within seconds. I got an email from YouTube that the channel was demonetized. And I don't even have that channel anymore, but that's the channel I did the whole trip from Seattle to New York, everywhere we pounded pavement, all the gatherings we had, it was all on that channel. And don't forget what they did to that channel. They deleted it exactly 263 days after 9/11, and that's not an accident either. We're out there that day teaching about all kinds of things, including why the 3 flights that hit targets added up to 263, and how that goes back to Boeing's origins. And now here we are this year with all the rituals with Boeing that started with like the door flying off the plane 263 days from the CEO's birthday. It's just crazy how it's the same stuff over and over and over. And again, you look into Boeing, you realize its founder was a member of Yale Skull and Bones. You see how it's all secret societies all along, all Kabbalistic knowledge, all the same repetitious patterns, which have everything to do with religion. And again, yeah, right, the Matrix. Why is your gas station attendant you? Why are you guys trolling with false statements that anyone, like literally, if anybody takes like 5 seconds to look into anything, if anybody's picked up my first book and started reading, they'd be like, wow, everything those guys are ranting about is like debunked in the first 2 pages of the book. He's right here about Hebrew and English. These guys are saying, Zach never talks about Hebrew. He doesn't talk about the Hebrew. It's just like, this is unreal. It makes me sick that these little agents have been around. And again, my guard's been up the whole time. Like, for example, yeah, right, wanted me to come stay with him at the house he rented in Oklahoma City. And I was like, I'm cool. I remember that he started out as a troll. I was like, nah, I'm cool. I think that other guy got the house too was gay, and sure enough, that was my initial instinct, was he's a little gay guy, and sure enough, he was. Cross-country road trip with Gay Willie. Oh, man. That's funny. All right. Shout out to Truth Does Not Exist. Sorry about the no audio glitch. These programs are something else. The name is Inshitification. Is that really what it is? I don't know if that's true or not. I'm going to have to look that up. Would you ever pound pavement in D.C. or Virginia? My greatest regret is that I still haven't pounded pavement in D.C. Again, just everything got screwed up. What day was that? It was September 12th, 2022. I had another week planned for the trip. I was going down south and going to make the way back. And something came up back here at home with Sweet Lady, and she was panicked, and she really wanted me to be home. And there was another thing dealing with, another one of the Matrix's friends who's brought her daughter with and was just keeping her out on the streets all day, and her daughter was passing out and begging to go home. And I kept telling her to go home with her daughter, and she kept saying, I'm not leaving until you leave, Zach. I'm going to be here every day with you. And I said, this doesn't right. You got to take your daughter home. Anyway, I ended up cutting the trip short, but the next plan from Yale was to hit up like Philly, D.C., Boston, all those cities. I would have done them in the right order. I would have had to look. I think Boston, you got to drive north and then come back down. But that's what I was going to try to do in the next group of days. And, I hope the world goes on. I hope things change and end. But again, you guys, I don't really ever plan to stop doing this work. If with little one comes, I have to take a break from making videos because we've hit a major stall in videos and there's not really any progress. Again, maybe I'll get re-energized and pump out the awesome book I've been trying to finish. Anyway, I don't ever intend to quit, but I do see a future where somehow Sweet Lady and I relocate to closer to the nation's capital, because I just love to be out in the nation's capital every day like how we do when we go out on the corner. and make that what I do. Instead of present from YouTube every day, I present live from in front of from Congress to get in front of these people in these suits every day who are selling us out and not acknowledging anything and just yeah. But yeah, I do plan to go there, and like seriously, as I plan to live there someday, so I can do exactly what I'm talking about. Older and wiser, but yeah. Yeah, I do regret that I have not made it to DC yet. That should have happened. And yeah, Virginia as well. I'd pound payment anywhere. Haven't you seen where I pounded payment? I pounded payment in little towns in the middle of nowhere because that's where I lived. I'd much that's what I learned when I was in New York and in LA. I was like, this is really where you should just spend your time pounding payment. Places where a ton of people are, because then you're getting a big audience. You're reaching a lot of people at once, and maybe there's some other spots like that in the world, but in the U.S., New York definitely, and then in L.A. second place. But New York is right for pound and payment on the street. Thank you again, Nathan. Shout out to Nathan. He's a real one. Nathan knows about this snake network. Paula the Kitchen Wet says 13 moon phases. Gregorian calendar is missing a month. Yeah, exactly. The 13-month moon calendar, which is on the 19-year cycle. Things we talked about many a times. And thank you, Rick James, for gifting a membership as well. So, does anyone have anything to add about Donald Sutherland? Did you guys look into the MASH angle? I just skipped the whole MASH angle. Maybe we can do that in real time, and somebody who's more familiar with the MASH show can add to it later in the comments or on their own place where they post information. MASH released on September 17th. Interesting date. In the year 72. Interesting. September 17th is the Constitution's birthday. It's the NFL's birthday. It happens to be the face of the NFL's birthday right now as well. Patrick Mahomes. That date's got that 17/9 way of writing it. The 17th of September, a bit like 179, the 41st prime, the big USA number. 72. That was right before Joe Biden became senator-elect. November 72, Biden senator-elect, his wife and daughter dead during Saturnalia, day after the current Pope's birthday. And it ended on the 59th day of the year in 83. So that means it turned 41 years old this year. Oh, interesting. Turned 41 years old. Donald Sutherland, MASH, USA, military, Vietnam. But by the way, Vietnam has so many rituals with it, but Vietnam's another big 84 and 42 like Jesuit. You know what else actually stands out to me? Vietnam 105. MASH started on the day leaving 105 days left in the year, September 17th. And it goes with Mahomes. That's his birthday, Patrick Mahomes. It's the NFL's birthday against the Constitution's birthday. But the show about Vietnam began on the day leaving 105 days left in the year. That stands out. Fitting date. And it ended in 83. The first troops deployed to Vietnam were on March 8th, if you didn't know that. If you want to look that up. Here. First U.S. troops deployed to Vietnam date. Let's see if that pulls it up. March 8th, 1965. March 8th, right? 3883. Murder, 38 and 83. The song Murder by Numbers came out in 83 by the police. Killings, the sport of the elected. The elected sending the young off to fight in a needless, deadly war starting on March 8th. The nation's capital on the 38th parallel, the Pentagon 38. Again, death, murder, killing, R.I.P., Gematria 38, English 38, Gematria the killing name, energy. Everything comes back to energy. That's the one thing the trolls got right. He says it all comes back to energy, and he's always trying to manipulate in a negative way by being a little lying fraud and claiming that he's not the liar when he's the obvious scumbag that is. That's what I get sick about the troll types. That's what I've noticed about the troll network. They're always attacking me for being a liar, but then they don't have anything to back up their claims, but they're constantly lying to try and prove their points. It's a really annoying tactic to deal with constantly. Liars calling you a liar. Definitely satanic. Okay. The MASH thing. Here, we can measure from the MASH anniversaries then. That's how his passing worked out. The show ending on the 59th day of the year, Pope Francis has a big 59 connection. I'm not sure that's it. In Jewish gematria, it's a number connected to killing. Again, Vietnam was a war of death, but it could be several other things. Freemasonry has the 59 connection. 59 is the 17th prime. Mason is 17. Freemasonry is 59. Modern Freemasonry created in 1717. This nation created 59 years later in 1776. By the way, MASH has the 41. It started on 17/9/179, the 41st prime. He's now dead 41 years after it ended. And hold on, let's measure from these anniversary dates. So the last anniversary was September 17, 2023 of its beginning. Its last anniversary for its beginning. Donald Sutherland, who was in MASH, dead today. Wow, he's dead 277 days after its beginning. That's the 59th prime number. 277 is the 59th prime. The show ended on the 59th day of the year. All right. MASH stands for Mobile Army Surgical Hospital. Okay, I don't think that's the one. That means he's dead 89 days before the upcoming birthday as well, for the or anniversary for the show. Donald Sutherland, 89, just like how he died 89 days after the anniversary of the Hunger Games coming out. Okay, now 89 days before the anniversary. Again, 89 is the 24th prime number. Kiefer Sutherland, his son in the hit show 24, that's going to turn 23 the day after the election, meaning we'll begin the countdown until the 24th anniversary, one day after the election. When you turn 23, you begin your 24th year of existence. Okay, and then the other anniversary was February 28th, the end. He's dead 113 days after the anniversary. 113 is just a big number in television, period. Like the word mainstream, which MASH no doubt is. Mainstream's got the 113 and the 41 like MASH, you know what I mean? It was very mainstream. They got everybody flowing in the stream. The spells and the spelling, the Kabbalistic encodes over and over. Hold on. If you I don't know if Art of War has the 114 connection. It is a span of 114 days going back to the Art of War. MASH does have to do with war, perhaps something to that. I could do better research than I've done on Vietnam to date. Just out of curiosity, to the next upcoming anniversary, 253 days. That's the 22nd triangular number. 8 months and 8 days, kind of like his age of death. But yeah, so we see some of the number part of it, but if I knew the show better, I bet a lot of these things would stand out to me a whole lot more. Let me see what his character name was. Donald Sutherland, character on MASH. Hawkeye Pierce. Hawkeye Pierce. Hawkeye Pierce is 71. Funny, it's 64 as well. And Donald Sutherland is 64. And what was it? President Snow? President Snow is 64. So we found out they have the same date spacing from his death to their anniversaries. 89 days after the Hunger Games. 89 days to the upcoming anniversary of MASH. President Snow is 71 and 64. Actually, interesting. 71, 64. We were talking about in the beginning that the parallel with Israel. Remember, Israel has the 64 connection like Zion, and the war began on Putin's 71st birthday, 71 days from the Pope's birthday. And again, Talmud is 71, and it has that 113 thing, which is like his death and supposedly his cause of death. I guess that's the one thing about the 113 connection to his death. It doesn't seem like it's too honest. They have to pay less of his pension. But Talmud 71, like Catholic is 71. The Society of Jesus, for the record, is also 71. Whore of Babylon is 71. Babylon itself is 71. All roads lead to Rome, but then really they go back to Babylon. So yeah, I'm seeing a bit of the MASH angle already. If I knew more about the show, again, it would be super helpful. Let me see what happens if we search Hawkeye Pierce. Can we get more information about this character? Benjamin Franklin Hawkeye Pierce is the chief surgeon of the 4077th MASH unit. Okay. Did they call that the 4077? How'd they say it? Benjamin Franklin Hawkeye Pierce is the whole title. Altogether, has got that 163, the 38th prime. There's things I could say about these numbers, but in terms of they're like presidential government numbers is what they are. 110 and 133. I'm not sure about the 209 and other one. Benjamin Pierce, 70. Like he's dead on the 70 date numerology. Also 83, like the show ended in 83. Benjamin Pierce, 70, in the same cipher. The one when I first started in 2013, so much of my work was just in this cipher. I didn't even know the reverse ciphers back then. A huge percentage in that cipher, and just that's what I've been looking at today. But isn't that weird that he's so connected to these roles and he's dead on this 70 date numerology? Something's up here. Gonna have to do more research. Next thing you know, it's years later and you know way more, and the next thing you know, it's a decade later and you've shown the same thing a million times. And the other movie they're talking about again is this Clute, and he's dead right before the anniversary of it, and it came out in 71. I'd say Jane Fonda better look out since she's in that Clute movie. She's 86 right now. She got the same birthday as Kiefer. Kiefer, the big star, in 24. It's 2024. Are they going to do the dad and Jane Fonda? Again, I've never seen this Clute movie, but just to read you, again, a little synopsis here about Clute. Where did I put it? I thought I had the screenshot in here. It looks like I forgot to put... Oh, it's right here. So this is what Clute's about. Again, it came out on George Orwell's birthday in 71. This acclaimed thriller stars Jane Fonda as Bree Daniel, a New York City call girl who becomes enmeshed in an investigation into the disappearance of a business executive. Detective John Clute, Donald Sutherland, is hired to follow Daniel and eventually begins a romance with her. Uh-oh, Donald, romance, call girl, Stormy Daniels, New York. Again, I don't think it's an accident. Just like it's not an accident, he calls himself Batman. Bruce Wayne equals 45. And he has this mega 45 ritual at the trial that, again, it began the year before in the spring, right after they filmed the latest Joker scene there, and Trump appeared on court on the anniversary of not Kiefer Sutherland, but on the anniversary of, oh no, the guy who died while playing Joker. My brain is fried. I can't think of it. Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger died while playing Joker. Trump appeared on April 4th in court on 4/4. What would have been Heath Ledger's 44th birthday. Again, Trump was number 45, but the 44th person to be president just happened to be in court right after they filmed the latest Joker scene. And don't forget when that last Joker movie came out with Joaquin Phoenix, and they're putting out the new one on the anniversary of it, we were showing how that date is so synced with Trump. And hold on. Let me see if I can even, because I know there's 88s in that too. Joker, Joaquin. Remember in the last Joker movie or Batman movie they put out, he attacks New York City on November 5th, the day of the election. They put out the new poster here. That's right, all the 11s in the film. Hold on, these are the newer posters. We've been doing even a lot of work on the newer one. Paula Kelly dead the day of the trying to find the, sorry, I thought this was going to pop up a lot quicker. Huh, is it on my old website? What year was that? Time flies by. I started I maxed out this website and I didn't want to pay any more money to add more posts to it. And then they started taking posts away, like almost as a consequence. And I started my own site so they cannot control it. That Joker movie came out on the 277th day of the year. 59th prime. Joker's got the 59 connection. But I don't know. Could these things be related? All the movies they're paralleling through Donald Trump, but see, it came out on the day, leaving 88 days left in the year. And then all these years later, Trump's in court right after they filmed the new scene in the same courtroom. And again, the guy who's called himself Batman, and just all these ongoing running jokes. Batman's connection to Skull and Bones, what they did the year of the SH shooting and the Aurora, Colorado theater shooting at Batman. Just all, it's just obvious who's running all these things. The Gematria shows you how it all traces back to that same Jesuit order. Oh, by the way, Joker, he has a name is Jack Napier. But in the movie, they do call him Arthur, but one of his names that he's known by is Jack Napier, another 88. The Aurora shooting, that was the 88. Joaquin Raphael Phoenix, 104, like Roman Catholic Church. What day did it come out? 10/4. Think about when that movie came out. October 4, 2019, right? How does that movie end? With everybody wearing Joker masks, right? Isn't that right? And then remember the 5th of November, the election this year, which they also incorporated in the last Batman movie. That's associated with masks. The Guy Fawkes mask that was made popular in V for Vendetta. But again, this movie, it came out 14 days before they did the Event 201 simulation. Again, they did that on 10/18, like Satan comes to Earth in Luke 10/18, and it was part of the Cladex sister simulation, which was 666 days before the pandemic. But this was right before the Event 201 simulation. The next thing you know, and again, the Event 201 simulation was the same day the military World Games began in Wuhan, China. What a coincidence. And they started in Italy in 95, credited the Jesuits who were made to stop the 95 Theses. And again, created 201 months after the 95 Theses was pinned by the German Martin Luther. But yeah, it's just how all of this stuff runs together. I mean, this is what we're talking about. Years later, they're still. That's why it just the people who don't come around to the work or continue for years to try and dismiss it. It's like you see if there's something seriously wrong with these people. The evidence continually builds on our side. I'm realizing that Joaquin Phoenix has the same birthday as Bill Gates, which is the same day in history that Elvis got the polio jab, which was on Bill Gates' first birthday back in October 28th. 1956, the year Tom Hanks was born, who got the first celebrity with the pandemic. He got it while he was filming the Elvis movie. Elvis, who recorded at Sun Record Studios, who died with his 201 girlfriend on hand. Oh my God. But yeah, just all this. Let's not forget what happened to Joaquin Phoenix's brother, River Phoenix, while he's hanging out with Johnny Depp. But yeah, all this stuff's so deep, you guys. Right after they did this in the movie that ends with everybody wearing a mask, they got everyone wearing masks for the supposed pandemic. It's just, they're putting out a new Batman movie. He's attacking Gotham on November 5th. I mean, they're giving you an idea of their plans and the way they create chaos, but of course it never carries out as dramatic as it is in the movies. That's what people need to catch on to as well. It's always way more dramatic in the movies. But yeah, what people also need to learn is, again, that we are being mocked and plans are being foretold, and Hollywood's working with government because, again, you look at the network that's done it. It's no doubt the Jesuit cabal. They are large and in charge. They're worldwide. They didn't want to get this. Again, when the dummy, that same guy who I was playing who was just rambling on, again, he was saying the other day that the Jesuits, his statement was, trust me, the Jesuits control nothing. It's like, oh, that's weird. They have the biggest private school network in the world, the biggest hospital network in the world, along with all the Catholic hospitals. They gave us the calendar, the founders warning about them. They set up camp in D.C. They gave us the first Jesuit university before we even got the first president in the history books, George Washington, later that same year. To make statements like this, like, oh, the Jesuits control. I mean, you just got to be so dumb, okay? And especially with what I'm showing and you're trying to go up against with your nonsensical jibber jabber where you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I mean, please. And the thing that's sad about this world is because there's so many people that are even dumber than that person, they can't figure out what is true. They can't discern truth. They can't tell which one is obviously 1,000,000% false and which one is, you know, nothing's 1,000,000% correct, but some things are 1,000,000% false, like that guy. There's things like my work that are mostly right on point, and it forecasts a lot of things dead on. Again, did that moron put out a book in the middle of 2020 about how they're going to wind down their bullshit pandemic by the 201 code when the year of the tiger comes around, and only for the prediction to land dead on? I don't think so, but I did. I know some of the other shills that he runs with were trying to claim that they wrote my book, which is just another joke. That's why these liars just know no bounds. But All right, I'll have to plug in some more notes about old Donald Sutherland and the MASH connections. So, Christian Walker got his 138th home run, 138 days to the election versus the Nats. And you know, you guys, there's so many rituals like this if you pay attention. Itachi's really good at thinking about these rituals and looking for them. And, you know, it's like last week on Trump's birthday. On Trump's birthday, Ryan Nelson for the Diamondbacks became 4-5 for the year. Well, there were several 45 rituals in the MLB on that day. But the thing that was extra interesting about Ryan Nelson is it was 134 days after his birthday. And again, Make America Great Again equals 134. Again, the base ciphers. Make America Great Again, 134. The hit show, when he was running for president, with all the parallels between him and Kevin Spacey, was House of Cards, 134. Trump, terminology associated with cards. His wife, Melania, 134. His rich son-in-law, who married his daughter, Jared Kushner. And things I'm forgetting. So many 134 rituals with Trump. But last week, literally the Diamondbacks pitcher, 134 days after his birthday, becoming 4-5 on number 45's birthday, to go with a host of other 45 rituals like Jason Tatum picking up his 45th career loss in the playoffs all time. And as a Celtic, it's crazy how they did it with the Celtics, and Joe Biden's Secret Service named Celtic. But again, you guys, Donald John Trump, his full name, 185, just like basketball. Donald John Trump, 185. Basketball, 185. Celtics improved to 18-5 in this series where they synced all these different little intricacies up with both guys running for office. Remember, the Celtics began 15-2 in the playoffs, exactly 152 days before election day did these finals began, and they won the first 3 games to become 15-2 in the playoffs. Joe's Secret Service name, Celtic. Joe Biden's Secret Service name is Celtic. And again, John Havlicek, number 17, died 17 days after his own birthday, the day Joe Biden announced he was running for president. And Joe Biden has the same birthday as Robert Kennedy. And Robert Kennedy turned 17 the day Joe Biden was born. And this year the finals began on the Robert Kennedy death anniversary, which was also... Look at this, you guys. The day that Robert Kennedy died, he died on the Boston Celtics' 22nd birthday. Boston 22, like basketball, like how they were in their 22nd finals in 22. Again, go back and find... Here, let's see if we can find it real quick. Obama, president, bloodlines, Hollywood actors. Let's see if this keyword search brings it up. All right, Business Insider. This is not the same article I'm thinking of because this is from 2022. The articles I'm thinking about are before I knew Gematria, major outlets shortly after Obama won re-election. How Obama blurred the border between Hollywood and... What's this about? No, these were mainstream articles about this. ABC, CBS... But it is Google in this day and age, and they do make information hard to find. It's just like everybody who's my age has probably seen the JFK speech about secret societies and, you know, conspiracy, and he's talking to the newspaper commission, I think in Boston, if I'm not mistaken. Go back and double check that. But that speech is now hard to find when you search for it anywhere on Google. It's like, it's really hard to... It used to be so easy to find. Let's just read this more recent article and see what it says here. 11 celebrities who are related to U.S. presidents. I love how Tom Hanks is right up there. The guy who said he was losing to his wife in gin rummy by 201 points after being the first celebrity to get the virus, paying tribute to what Elvis did back in the year he was born in old 56 as the 56 pandemic got underway. Brad Pitt and the 44th POTUS are linked through Edwin Hickman, a shared ancestor who died in Virginia in 1769, making them 9th cousins. After the link was discovered by the New England historian... This is not the same. I don't like this. This article is already way weaker than... Ben Affleck also related to Obama. 11th cousins. I like how they go for the 9s and the 11s. Remember, Jesuit Art of War, chapter 11 is called The 9 Situations. Don't forget Genesis 11:9, where the story of the Tower of Babel ends, the tower that divides the world. You see how this all comes together, all these little religious jokes? This world domination plan... Right, when they put their little clever cabala system together. Warren Buffett and Obama are allies as well as relatives. Go figure, the Oracle of Omaha. This is not the same article I was looking for. Hugh Hefner, related to Bush. I love it. This is one of the boys. Even Marilyn Monroe, okay. Okay, this is not the right article. Presidents, bloodlines, Hollywood. Let's see. I'm gonna write the year 2012 because I know it was around that time. Could have been 2013. All presidents bar one are directly descended from medieval English king. This is August 4th, 2012. This is on Obama's birthday. Obama would have turned 51 years old this day, born 1961. Is ruling in the genes. All presidents bar one are directly descended from medieval English king. Oh shit, it's getting late and I gotta start dinner. I'm running too late here. I gotta wrap this up. Here, I'll link this article as the top pinned comment, and I'll put it in the top of the description of the video. But I remember just back then reading an article all about the presidents being related and so many notable Hollywood actors too, and I was just like, okay. They're trying to tell us just how theatrical all of this political bullshit. Because I knew it back then, and then when I saw that, I just remember saying, I was like, I've been looking at that for over 10 years of my young adult life. Again, from the time I was 17, I was really just questioning the authenticity of the system. I was arguing with my high school teacher back then. Mr. Griffin, for God, I must be getting amnesia for a second. I could not think of the guy's damn name. Mr. Griffin. I took his debate class 3 times, and he would always say, Hubbard, you are an idiot. Because I'd say the system was rigged. He was saying that is him. He's one of those guys like, you don't know how lucky you are to be in America. This is the greatest country, Hubbard. Our elections are not rigged, Hubbard. I was like, well, you just had us reading about how it was all going to come down to Florida where his brother was the governor, and then it did in the weirdest of ways. That didn't seem weird as hell. He's like, no, that's what we talked about, Hubbard. The papers told us it was going to go that way. I'm like, yeah, it seems really fucking weird to me. Yeah, they might have wrote that, but what else is going on here? That's the problem, man. Just some people can't believe they've been lied to. Well, you can't tell you've been lied to? You can't tell we're getting lied to every day? Can't tell it's all a big joke on us every single day? You don't think all those science classroom posters with the guy with the fried hairdo is a big joke in itself? Here's what a smart guy looks like. He looks like he just got electrocuted. Anyway. Nice call on the Christian Walker thing. Shout out to all the truth seekers. I got to make dinner. Take care of your sweet lady. That's also this is what keeps me on the narrow, is just having a real sweet lady. By the way, for the guy who just jibber jabbers bullshit and just blatantly lies with confidence like he's not going to get checked. Hey, is it not true? Hey, go on the record and tell me this is true. Did you not come out to New York City and say you got inspired by my sweet lady and that's why you went looking for a nice Asian mama and you found one? Did you not say you got inspired by me and it was the best decision you ever made in terms of the lady department? And shout out to all the good women from all over the world. It's just, I've known a lot of good women in my lifetime. Sweet lady met me at the right time when I was really just finally thinking about just settling down and just having one great relationship with one amazing person. And she really is. But he said he was inspired by a relationship and it made him go after an Asian woman and he's never been happier. So what is wrong with you trolling me? You said you're happier than you've ever been because you followed my lead. That's how bad you are, Snake Man. Snake Man. And then your other buddy, he got laid apparently from meeting a girl at New York City and then she broke up with him and now he hates me for it. Both you guys are weirdos. Oh my God. And why does it seem like you two have a romantic relationship? And why is his name spelled E-R-I-N like a girl? And why is it that he has one of those funny voices like he used to be a girl? Because he's a petite guy. He's like 5'2" and very tiny. He's like a woman. He reminds me of Sweet Lady in terms of his stature. But he's got this little funny voice. And it reminds me, I used to work with a transgender person in Seattle who was going from woman to man, and she was taking testosterone pills, and she was raging out and acting crazy, and she said, you just got to be patient with me because these pills do this to me. And I was thinking back then, I was like, why does the government allow this to be legal? Weed was still illegal back then when I knew this person. I was like, how is weed illegal, but testosterone pills and raging out people trying to transition to different genders is legal? What? Have you seen these people's behavior? This is like the real... What's that old 1930s film about how weed's going to make you a killer? Reefer Madness? This transgender person was reminding me more of that portrayed thing. And that. But anyway, through them, I met their friend. And I remember their friend Ralph. I still remember their friend Ralph, who was also a woman who'd converted to a man and was further along in the process. Also very tiny, but had a pretty decent beard. You know, it was a pretty decent beard, you know. And also, I just remember Ralph's voice. I thought, so that's like what a deep person in the transgender, their voice was just like really weird. And then I think about, you know, Yeah Right's little, that he's daddy to that person. I just think about how they have this really funny, interesting little voice to go with their little petite stature and their name ERIN, and how their dad is actually also transgender. It's like, well, it could run in the family. And if Yeah Right the Matrix is going on cross-country road trips with openly gay dudes like Will, I mean, it's possible nothing's going on, but it also seems highly likely, and like the way the gay men I know are just like, they're looking for a new hole every day. You know, the seemingly the romantic vibe between, you know, Cuts and his daddy, Yeah Right, and his relationship with Will and all these little weirdos coming around us and trying to infiltrate it. It seems like we're almost like being terrorized by some little gay satanic trio. And I don't think I'm actually that far off the mark. I think it really is something like that. Because that sure is the way it looks. Look at the way little mentally ill Cuts just comes down for daddy. Daddy, you gonna bring the sausage back home? I'm so lonely over here in the hills in San Francisco. Come back, Daddy. He's crying because we didn't meet up in New York. Is that what it's all about? He was expecting to go back to New York and meet up with Yeah Right, flying back out there, a little session with Daddy, a little three-way with Lil Willie. Anyway, sorry, I got to go down those roads, but sorry, this troll network, there is some kind of romantic, there's just all kinds of weird stuff going on with it, and it needs to be called out on all levels. And again, I'll come with a lot of facts. That right there is speculation, but it's speculation based on some evidence. So, all right, got to make dinner, got to make Sweet Lady happy, like I said. Until next time, Truth Seeker.